What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Filip Latocha, and today we are comparing and contrasting the HOKA One One Mach 5 versus its predecessor, the Mach 4. Is the successor to the Mach 4 the better shoe? Let's talk about it. So before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're already subscribed to this channel, watching the content. Thanks so much. Love you guys a lot. I'm going to leave the specs for both shoes actually just right here because we're going to kick it off right away with the similarities between both shoes, and that is that the difference between both shoes weight-wise in the general specs is like 0.1 ounces. So I think the Mach 5 is a little bit heavier than the Mach 4 in this particular case, as I've seen it with the scaling that I've done here, where this is 8.1 ounces and I've got this one at about 8. Now, the good thing as we go back into similarities is that both shoes do share the same general stack height specs, which is a 29 millimeter heel, 24 and 29 in the setup. So it's 29 millimeters in the heel, 24 in the forefoot, which gives it this 5 millimeter offset. This goes both ways also with the Mach 5 and the Mach 4. So I think HOKA One One is absolutely like 10,000 IQ for keeping the general specs of the shoe the same, as the Mach 4 was just absolutely brilliant, in my opinion, as a daily trainer. Now, here's where things kind of change a little bit. Before we get into some of the changes, of course, both shoes do share a ProFly midsole and foam area, and then they also have this EVA foam as like the outsole to basically strike the ground. The difference now, however, is the ProFly was being used in the Mach 4, and the ProFly Plus is what's being used in the Mach 5. Now, based on just a little bit of research I've done on it, I couldn't find too much of like what is the substantial impactual difference of the ProFly Plus, but ProFly in this particular instance for both shoes is supposed to be soft on the heel and have a lot more spring in this forefoot area to give you this like toe off per se. So you can kind of see in the foam design that this is what they're trying to accomplish, where it's like it's more, I guess, prevalent, I would say, color wise in the Mach 5, where this like purple heel start here is supposed to be the soft foam, and then as it turns like pink, this is the area of the foam which is designed to give you more of that spring kind of toe off feel. Now, the only real difference as I'm looking at it between the ProFly and the ProFly Plus is what is going on in the heel. So if you can kind of tell what's going on, ProFly Plus looks a lot wider than the regular ProFly, and I'm guessing the ProFly Plus, from, I guess, an architectural standpoint, is supposed to have a lot more heel support and more stability on this side, but I haven't seen any substantial differences in terms of like striking and impact with the toe off, toe box area of both shoes respectively. So overall, I guess that's a good thing because the ProFly and the EVA outsole have worked really well in both shoes. Some of the other differences to note between both shoes. One major upgrade between the Mach 4 and the Mach 5 is the tongue of the shoe. So, as we've seen in the Mach 4, it's just, it's just straight across. It's a nice, it's a comfortable tongue, but they made it a lot better, in my opinion, by giving it this gusseted tongue that we see in like the Vaporfly and other Nike shoes, where there's a cutoff here in the middle, so like, the tibia tendon bone area of your foot can comfortably sit in between this ridge right here, and then the rest kind of just hugs the other pieces of your leg, your ankle, and that's where you kind of get that support from. Also, what I think I've noticed here, I think as a similarity, is that there is that that midsole, midfoot liner in the shoe that's attached to the tongue of the shoe as well. It's more prevalent in the Mach 5, but it is still existent in the Mach 4, just not nearly as much material, as you can probably kind of sort of tell. So I guess the Mach 5 skimmed a little bit on that material and created a much larger, more prevalent, I would say, sock liner inside the shoe overall, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I've seen no issues with it so far. Like, the shoe fits like a glove, and it's probably got one of the best fits next to, I think, like the Pegasus 37 when I ran with this particular shoe. Let's see, other substantial differences between both shoes that I've noticed. I mean, the fit of both shoes have been really good. I think in this particular instance, the Mach 4 does seem to run a little bit wider than the Mach 5. You might be able to kind of see it with the naked eye, which is like, it's not that big of a deal. At least it wasn't for me. Like, I didn't have any like toe box issues or like bleeding toes from the Mach 4. I had like just enough space, so I don't know if there was maybe like additional material on the inside of the Mach 4 that gave it some additional comfort. But from that standpoint, that's just like something else I noticed. And that narrowness in this toe box, again, not noticeable at this point in time. I haven't necessarily experienced any sort of issues with it. I'm not ripping into it in any sort of way. So that's ultimately been a positive for the Mach 5 as a result. Now, here's a con for both shoes, which I guess it depends if you want to consider it a con or it's a feature of the shoe because it is more of like a toe off type of strike and, you know, rebound kind of shoe. As you can probably see in the Mach 4, or you may have seen in previous videos of the Mach 4 that I've done, is that this outsole, this EVA foam, is going to take a massive hit after 250 plus miles. So if you're one of these runners like me who's a little bit more aggressive and I would say uses their forefoot, midfoot, or not midfoot, but like forefoot, maybe like toe area for striking more often, and you have like an uneven strike, which at the time of using the Mach 4 I basically had, you're going to really tear into that EVA foam pretty bad, and it's going to get into the ProFly, and from there your risk of injury, in my opinion, increases substantially. So with this particular case, like when I shredded this shoe to the point where I got this ProFly, I was training also in the Alpha Flies, and like the instability of the Alpha Flies in tandem with this like opening in the shoe and having less impact, I guess, safeguard, essentially like led to the stress reaction that I've experienced in my fibula basically in early 2022, late 2021. So after a certain point, the shoe just has to go, and this was like probably a little bit late for the shoe to essentially disappear from my lineup. So that being said, the EVA foam, as far as I see it in the Mach 5, hasn't made any substantial upgrades. And of course, like I mentioned in my first impressions video, it is concerning that after, in this case, about 10 plus miles, I've really kind of beaten up the EVA foam in the way that I have. So again, going to continue monitoring this, but if the lifespan of the shoe is about 250 to 300 plus miles, that's going to be kind of sad, at least for me personally. But for others, maybe this is just the way of the Mach 5. It's hard to say. So in conclusion, between both the Mach 4 and the Mach 5, if we had to ask the question if the Mach 5 is a upgrade to the Mach 4, I'm going to answer hell yes. There's little things on the Mach 5 that are working really well. There's still things to come in terms of long-term experience on the shoe that I think we'll have to just kind of wait and see to see how it reacts. So such as like the ProFly's long-term effects when running distance, or the more miles we put into it, how is it going to feel? How is it going to respond to like those kinds of things? But as far as I'm concerned, if it's going to be anything like the Mach 4, the lifespan of the shoe, or like your quality of time in the shoe, is going to be excellent up until the point that the shoe is, you know, essentially dead and unusable. So we're gonna see how that sort of plays out, but in the, like, you know, at the end of the day, it is the Mach 4, and if this is the way the Mach 4 is supposed to be used, which is like a good time, not a long time, then it is what it is. But, you know, this is like one of the most comfortable, stable daily trainers that I can also use for speed workouts as well. I'm almost like afraid of using this for slow workouts because of how much like spring this shoe really has. So as I mentioned in the first impressions video, like this is going to be more like the everyday kind of speed trainer, not necessarily like my tempo runner, but if I needed a recovery run shoe, it's probably still going to be like the Infinity React or something a little bit slower and like in that nature, maybe like a 1080 version 11 or version 12, whatever is kind of available there. So that's where I'm going to stand with the Mach 5 comparison to the Mach 4. So if you have a similar experience with both shoes, or you've experienced something completely different, if you love, hate this shoe, you know, comment it down below. I want to know what you guys think about the Mach 5 overall, and if you know, see any major differences between the ProFly and the ProFly Plus that I might have missed. Definitely let me know below. You know, information's power. let's spread some good information if we've got it. So I think we'll leave the video right here. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.